Jimmy Kimmel and Elon Musk's heated exchange turns into a battleground as personal insults fly. Tesla stock plummets, and the billionaire threatens to walk off set in what many are calling the most shocking talk show confrontation in years. Before we dive in, tell us where you're watching from and hit that subscribe button for more jaw-dropping stories like this. The air in ABC's Hollywood studio crackled with tension last night as what should have been a routine celebrity interview on Jimmy Kimmel Live spiraled into television infamy. Tech mogul Elon Musk, wearing his signature black t-shirt and an increasingly strained smile, had arrived to promote SpaceX's latest mission. Within minutes, however, viewers witnessed the rapid deterioration of civility between host and guest in what would become the most talked-about late-night confrontation of the year. Kimmel began innocuously enough, welcoming Musk with his trademark grin and a handshake that seemed genuinely warm. The studio audience applauded enthusiastically as the billionaire settled into the guest chair, adjusting his microphone with the casual confidence of a man accustomed to commanding attention. "So, Elon," Kimmel began, leaning forward slightly, "you've been busy as always. SpaceX, Tesla, Twitter. Sorry, I mean X. And now you're talking about neural implants. Do you ever sleep? Or have you secretly developed some kind of billionaire insomnia cure you're not sharing with the rest of us?" The audience chuckled, and Musk offered a tight smile. "I get about 6 hours. That's all I need, really. The Neuralink project is particularly exciting right now, though. We're making real progress on—" "Neuralink," Kimmel interrupted, his expression shifting subtly. "That's the brain chip thing, right? Where you want to put computers inside people's heads? Because smartphones just weren't invasive enough?" The first hint of frost entered Musk's eyes, though his smile remained fixed. "It's actually a revolutionary interface that could help people with paralysis, blindness, and other neurological conditions. We're creating a symbiosis with artificial intelligence." "Symbiosis with AI," Kimmel repeated, his tone shifting toward the sardonic. "Because your other AI ventures have gone so well? Wasn't your Tesla self-driving software just recalled after cars kept mistaking the moon for a yellow traffic light?" A ripple of uncomfortable laughter spread through the audience. The camera caught Musk's jaw tightening almost imperceptibly. "That was an isolated incident that's been addressed," Musk replied, his voice cooling. "Tesla's safety record is exceptional. The media tends to sensationalize—" "Oh, I love sensationalism," Kimmel cut in, his smile widening. "Almost as much as you love tunnels. How's that Hyperloop coming along? Weren't we all supposed to be zooming under Los Angeles at 700 miles per hour by now? Instead, we got what amounts to a very fancy one-lane tunnel with some LED lights." The studio grew quieter. The production assistant standing just off stage exchanged a worried glance with the show's producer. This wasn't the playful banter they had rehearsed. Musk's smile had vanished entirely now. "The Boring Company has made significant advancements in tunnel construction speed, reducing costs by digging regular tunnels and putting Teslas in them," Kimmel finished. "Revolutionary. Almost as revolutionary as your solar roof tiles. How many houses have those on them now? 3? 4? The audience's laughter had an edge to it now, the nervous kind that emerges when viewers sense they're witnessing something unscripted and potentially catastrophic. "Look, Jimmy," Musk said, his voice dropping to a dangerous register, "if you invited me here just to mock projects that are attempting to solve genuine problems—" "No, no," Kimmel insisted, raising his hands in mock surrender. "I'm just trying to keep up with which of your grand promises are still operational. It's hard to track. Remember when you were going to fix Flint's water crisis? Or build ventilators during COVID? Or when you said Tesla would have robo-taxis everywhere by 2020? The tension in the studio was palpable now. The cameras caught a production assistant frantically signaling to Kimmel from off-stage, drawing a finger across her throat, the universal sign to cut it out. Kimmel, however, seemed committed to his course. "And let's not forget your crowning achievement," Kimmel continued, leaning back in his chair with dangerous casualness, buying Twitter for $44 billion and then systematically driving it into the ground. Brilliant move. Was that before or after you decided to rename it with the world's least searchable letter? The audience's reaction was mixed. Some uncomfortable silence, some scattered laughter, and a few audible gasps. Musk's face had darkened considerably, his usual composure cracking. "You know, Jimmy," Musk said, his voice dangerously level, "for someone who built his career on sophomoric pranks and has contributed absolutely nothing to solving humanity's problems, you're awfully quick to criticize those who are actually trying." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Kimmel's smile remained, but it no longer reached his eyes. "Trying? Is that what we're calling it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like a series of half-baked ideas designed primarily to keep your stock prices up and your name in headlines." Speaking of stock prices, Kimmel turned toward the audience with a theatrical gesture. "Has anyone checked Tesla lately? I hear it drops another point every time you tweet." That did it. Something flashed in Musk's eyes, a genuine anger that the cameras caught in unflinching detail. The billionaire's hands gripped the armrests of his chair, knuckles whitening. "You want to talk about stock prices?" Musk's voice had risen slightly, the controls slipping. "Why don't we talk about ABC's ratings? Or is it too painful to acknowledge that your viewership has been in free fall while you peddle the same tired political jokes night after night?" A collective "ooh" rose from the audience. The network executives watching from the wings exchanged alarmed glances. This was not the light-hearted celebrity banter viewers tuned in for. Kimmel's expression hardened, his trademark affability vanishing. "At least I'm honest about what I do, Elon. I'm a comedian. I make jokes, I don't promise, to save the world and then deliver underground traffic jams and exploding cars." "Exploding?" Musk began, then stopped himself, visibly struggling to maintain composure. The vein in his temple was pulsing now, visible even under the studio lights. "You have no idea what you're talking about. Tesla's fire incident rate is lower than regular cars." "Sure. I've heard the company line," Kimmel interrupted again. "Just like I've heard that the Cybertruck is bulletproof, even though the windows shattered during your own demonstration. That was quite a moment, wasn't it? Almost as impressive as watching your SpaceX rockets explode on the launch pad." The studio had gone deathly quiet. Even the most jaded Hollywood audience members knew they were witnessing something beyond the usual celebrity repartee, something raw and potentially career-altering for both men. Musk's breathing had become more pronounced, his chest rising and falling visibly. His eyes, normally calculated and controlled, now burned with barely contained fury. The world's richest man was not accustomed to being spoken to this way, especially not on national television. "You know what, Jimmy?" Musk said, his voice dangerously soft. "I came here because I thought we could have an actual conversation about innovation and the future. Instead, you've turned this into some kind of juvenile hit piece. Is that what your show has become? A platform for uninformed criticism disguised as comedy?" Kimmel leaned forward, undeterred. "Hit piece? No, Elon. This is just what happens when someone finally calls you on your bullshit. The emperor of tech has no clothes, and everybody's too afraid to say it." A collective gasp rippled through the studio audience. The show's director frantically gestured from the wings, drawing a finger across his throat repeatedly, but Kimmel seemed beyond caring. The normally affable host had crossed a line, and the gleam in his eyes suggested he had no intention of stepping back. "You know what?" Musk said, his voice dangerously quiet. "I think we're done here." He reached for his water glass, his hand visibly trembling with restrained fury. "Oh, we're just getting started," Kimmel countered, his smile razor-sharp. "Let's talk about the real reason Tesla's stock dropped 12% last quarter. Could It be because you're too busy playing space cadet and social media mogul to run your actual companies? The production team was in full crisis mode now. A producer had rushed to the edge of the stage, frantically signaling for a commercial break. The studio audience sat in stunned silence, phones raised to capture what was quickly becoming late-night television history. "You have absolutely no idea what you're talking about," Musk replied, each word enunciated with glacial precision. "Running multiple revolutionary companies requires—" "Revolutionary?" Kimmel scoffed. "Is that what we're calling it when you promise full self-driving cars for what, 8 years now? My viewers have been sending me clips of Teslas trying to drive themselves into concrete barriers. Revolutionary indeed," Musk's nostrils flared. The billionaire entrepreneur who had faced down skeptical investors and government regulators looked genuinely blindsided by the hostility radiating from the talk show host. "The FSD beta program has driven millions of miles with an exceptional safety record," Musk countered, technical jargon becoming his shield. "The isolated incidents you're referring to are not so isolated according to the NHTSA," Kimmel interrupted again. "But hey, what do they know compared to the great Elon Musk, right? The man who promised to end world hunger, then decided buying Twitter was a better use of $44 billion something." Dangerous flashed in Musk's eyes. "I never promised to end world hunger. That's a complete fabrication. And at least I'm putting my money toward attempting to preserve free speech, which is apparently a concept you've abandoned in favor of cheap shots and misinformation." The cameras caught the exact moment Kimmel's expression shifted from mockery to genuine anger. The host's famous dimples disappeared as his jaw tightened. "Free speech? That's rich coming from someone who fires employees for criticizing you and bans journalists who ask tough questions. Your version of free speech seems suspiciously limited to speech you personally approve of." The show's band leader shot a panicked look toward the producer, who was now physically edging onto the stage, clearly contemplating an unprecedented intervention. The commercial brake light was blinking frantically, ignored by both men locked in verbal combat. "You're deliberately misrepresenting my position," Musk said, his voice rising slightly. "But I shouldn't be surprised. Misrepresentation seems to be your specialty these days, and empty promises seem to be yours," Kimmel fired back. "Remember when you said the Cybertruck would be in production by 2021? How's that going? The prototype still can't handle a small steel ball without the windows shattering." The audience, recovering from its initial shock, began to react more vocally now, a mix of uncomfortable laughter, scattered applause, and audible murmurs. The confrontation had transcended typical talk show fare and veered into something raw and unfiltered. "Production challenges are normal for groundbreaking vehicles," Musk responded, his composure slipping further. "Unlike your recycled monologues, creating actual innovation involves setbacks and—" "Setbacks?" Kimmel laughed, the sound devoid of humor. "Is that what we're calling the Vegas loop? You promised a revolutionary transportation system and delivered what amounts to Teslas driving slowly through a tunnel. It's literally just a one-lane underground road with fancy lighting." Musk's face had flushed crimson now. The tech magnate, who commanded the attention of global markets and moved billions with his tweets, seemed increasingly rattled by the relentless barrage. "The Boring Company has reduced tunneling costs by digging glorified driveways," Kimmel interjected. "But hey, at least the lights change colors. Very innovative." The producer had now stepped fully onto the stage, hovering at the edge of the camera's frame, making increasingly desperate gestures. But both men were too far gone, locked in a confrontation that seemed to have been simmering beneath the surface for years. "You know what your problem is, Jimmy?" Musk said, leaning forward, his voice dropping to a dangerous register. "You've become exactly what you used to mock. A smug, elitist gatekeeper who thinks cynicism is the same as intelligence." Something shifted in Kimmel's eyes, a flash of genuine hurt quickly masked by renewed hostility. "And you've become exactly what you claim to despise. Another billionaire who thinks his money makes him infallible. The difference is, I don't pretend my comedy is saving humanity. The tension in the studio had become almost unbearable. Staff members exchanged alarmed glances as the confrontation escalated beyond anything in the show's history. This wasn't the planned light-hearted banter about space rockets and electric vehicles. This had become deeply personal. "At least I'm trying to make a difference," Musk retorted, his voice rising. "What exactly is your contribution, Jimmy? Making the same tired jokes about politicians? How groundbreaking." "My contribution?" Kimmel's eyebrows shot up. "I entertain people. I make them laugh. I don't promise to save them with underground tunnels and brain chips, then deliver disappointment wrapped in hype. And speaking of disappointment, have you checked Tesla's stock today? I hear it drops another point every time you open your mouth about something other than cars." That was the breaking point. Musk's expression transformed into something viewers had rarely seen: genuine, unfiltered rage. The carefully maintained facade of the cool tech visionary shattered completely. "Tesla has revolutionized the automotive industry," he snapped, voice rising dangerously. "We've forced every major manufacturer to develop electric vehicles. We've created sustainable energy solutions while you sit here making juvenile jokes and—" "Juvenile jokes are my job," Kimmel cut in. "Delivering on promises was supposed to be yours. But here we are, still waiting for robo-taxis, solar roof tiles that work, and tunnels that do more than showcase your car brand. Meanwhile, your investors are—" Musk abruptly stood up, startling both Kimmel and the audience. The microphone clipped to his shirt captured his accelerated breathing as he glared down at the host. "I didn't come here to be insulted by someone who has no understanding of the challenges involved in actual innovation," Musk said, his voice trembling with barely contained fury. "This isn't an interview. It's a hit job." Kimmel remained seated, looking up at the billionaire with an expression that mixed surprise with a hint of satisfaction. "Sit down, Elon. We still have 5 minutes left. Unless you can't handle being questioned about your track record?" The studio had gone completely silent. Even the producer had frozen in place, witnessing a moment of television that would undoubtedly go viral before the night was over. "My track record speaks for itself," Musk replied, still standing. "SpaceX has revolutionized space travel. Tesla has transformed the automotive industry. But you're not interested in any of that, are you? You just want your viral moment." "Oh, I think we're well past that," Kimmel responded, his smile thin and predatory. "But please, continue telling us about Tesla's transformation, while their stock plummets and their quality control issues make headlines. Or maybe explain how revolutionizing space travel helps the average American who can't afford health care." A vein pulsed visibly in Musk's temple. The billionaire who had weathered SEC investigations, shareholder revolts, and global criticism seemed genuinely unraveled by the relentless barrage from the talk show host. "You're deliberately misrepresenting everything I've built," Musk said, his voice tight with suppressed fury. "Making affordable electric vehicles available to the masses helps combat climate change. Our solar division provides sustainable energy. Starlink delivers internet to underserved communities. These are tangible contributions, not punchlines for your monologue." "Affordable?" Kimmel laughed, the sound sharp and humorless. "The cheapest Tesla is still out of reach for most Americans. As for Starlink, charging rural communities premium prices for spotty internet isn't exactly the humanitarian mission you're painting it as." The producer had now physically stepped onto the stage, positioning himself just at the edge of the camera frame, making desperate hand signals that both men continued to ignore. "Do you have any idea how difficult it is to build companies that challenge entrenched industries?" Musk demanded, his composure now completely abandoned. "Or is mocking people your only skill set?" "I'd say I'm pretty good at recognizing when someone's selling snake oil," Kimmel retorted, rising from his chair to stand eye to eye with his guest. "And you've got a warehouse full of it. Mars colonies, brain implants, hyperloops, robot taxis. How many of these promises have actually materialized, Elon? The studio audience, initially shocked into silence, had begun reacting more vocally, a mixture of uncomfortable laughter, scattered applause, and audible gasps. This wasn't the good-natured celebrity banter they had expected. This was a public evisceration happening in real time. "You know what? I'm done," Musk declared, reaching up to unbuckle his microphone. "I didn't come here to be ambushed by someone who's clearly prepared nothing but attacks." "Leaving so soon?" Kimmel pressed, his eyes glinting with challenge. "We haven't even gotten to the X, disaster yet. Or should we talk about your failed COVID predictions? Remember when you said we'd have close to 0 cases by April 2020? Musk's fingers fumbled with the microphone clip, his usual dexterity deserting him as rage visibly coursed through his body. The camera caught every detail. The trembling hands, the flushed face, the momentary look of genuine hurt that flashed across his features before hardening into cold fury. "You think this makes for good television, don't you?" Musk asked, his voice dropping dangerously low. "Attacking someone who's trying to push humanity forward?" "I think honesty makes for good television," Kimmel responded, unrelenting. "And honestly, you've overpromised and underdelivered for years while building a cult of personality that shields you from criticism." "Someone needs to say it." The microphone finally came free in Musk's hand. He stared at it for a moment, then deliberately dropped it onto the chair he'd vacated. "I can't take this anymore," he announced, addressing the audience rather than Kimmel. "This isn't an interview. It's a character assassination disguised as entertainment. Or maybe it's just the first time someone hasn't treated you like a tech messiah," Kimmel countered, following as Musk began to step away. "The emperor has no clothes, Elon. Your investors are figuring that out. Your customers are figuring it out. The only person who doesn't seem to realize it is you." That final barb hit its mark. Musk stopped mid-stride, turning back to face Kimmel, with an expression that caused several audience members to audibly gasp. Never had the public seen such naked contempt on the face of the normally controlled entrepreneur. "You know nothing about what I've built, or why," Musk said, each word precise and venomous. "Enjoy your declining ratings and your smug superiority while it lasts, Jimmy. History will remember who actually contributed something to humanity's future. And history will remember all your unfulfilled promises too," Kimmel fired back. "Maybe that's what really bothers you, knowing that beneath all the hype and stock options and Twitter polls, your legacy might just be a trail of half-finished projects and broken promises." The studio had fallen into stunned silence. Even the band had stopped playing, the usual musical cues forgotten in the unprecedented tension that had engulfed the set. The producer had given up on signaling for a commercial break and was now frantically conferring with security personnel at the edge of the stage. Musk stood frozen for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then, with deliberate slowness, he turned, his back on Kimmel, and strode toward the exit. "Ladies and gentlemen, apparently Elon Musk has left the building," Kimmel announced to the audience, attempting to reclaim control of the situation with humor that fell painfully flat. "I guess rockets aren't the only things that explode in his vicinity." The weak attempt at a joke elicited scattered, nervous laughter. Most of the audience remained silent, witnessing what they instinctively recognized as a career-defining moment for both men. Before Musk could reach the stage exit, a Tesla PR representative rushed forward, attempting to intercept him. The microphones picked up fragments of her urgent whispers. "Can still salvage this. Stock implications. Please reconsider." Musk brushed past her without acknowledgement, his face set in stone. As he reached the exit, he turned one final time to address not Kimmel, but the audience directly. "Judge for yourselves," he said, his voice carrying clearly across the suddenly silent studio. "Look at what we've built. Look at what we're trying to accomplish. Then decide if mockery is easier than innovation." With that parting shot, he disappeared backstage, leaving a vacuum of tension in his wake. The cameras caught Kimmel's expression, a complex mixture of triumph, uncertainty, and the dawning realization that the exchange had transcended typical talk show fare and ventured into uncharted territory. "Well," Kimmel said after an uncomfortable pause, attempting to transition back to host mode, "that was different. We'll be right back after these messages from companies that probably aren't owned by anyone who just stormed off our stage." As the applause sign flashed desperately, the audience responded with uncertain, scattered clapping. The band launched into their usual commercial break music, the upbeat tune jarringly incongruous with the atmosphere of stunned disbelief that permeated the studio. Backstage, chaos erupted. Network executives huddled in tight clusters, furiously debating damage control strategies. Social media teams reported that clips were already going viral, hashtags forming spontaneously as viewers reacted in real time to the unprecedented meltdown. Musk, meanwhile, had already been ushered into a waiting Tesla by his security team, his expression thunderous as he scrolled through his phone, perhaps already composing the tweets that would further inflame the situation in the hours to come. Inside the studio during the commercial break, Kimmel's producer approached him with unconcealed panic. "What the hell was that?" he demanded, gesturing toward the empty guest chair. "That wasn't the plan. That wasn't even close to the plan." Kimmel, removing his microphone with steady hands, appeared surprisingly calm. "Plans change," he replied simply. "Sometimes people need to hear the truth, even billionaires." "The network is going to have a field day with this," the producer warned. "His fans are already bombarding our social accounts. This could be a disaster. Or it could be the most talked-about late-night moment in years," Kimmel countered. "Either way, no. One can say we just lobbed softball questions at a billionaire." As the commercial break neared its end, a production assistant approached with the news. Video clips of the confrontation had already amassed millions of views. The hashtags Kimmel vs. Musk and Elon walk-off were trending worldwide. The moment had indeed gone viral with unprecedented speed. Kimmel nodded, straightened his tie, and prepared to face the cameras again. Whatever the consequences, for his show, for his career, for Musk's companies and reputation, television history had been made. The carefully maintained facade of celebrity interviews had cracked, revealing the raw, unfiltered reality beneath the surface. The on-air light blinked back to life. The band played the show's return theme, and Jimmy Kimmel stepped back into the spotlight, ready to address an audience that now extended far beyond the studio walls, as millions online began dissecting every word, every gesture, every implication of the confrontation that would define both men's public personas for years to come. "Welcome back," he said, his trademark smile firmly back in place. "If you're just joining us, boy, did you miss a lot."